Welcome to Latino Talk TV. I'm your host, Ben Mendez, joined by my co-host, Mr. Javier Perez.
I'm the good-looking one.
The good-looking one. Thank you for joining us. We're in Houston's East End here at the Houston Media Source, just 1 mile east of Minute Maid Park, and this is live television, by the way. Now, I will tell you, I was thrilled to see the Sunday football games. So we have the Carolina Panthers against the Denver Broncos. The former coach of the Houston Texans is going to be in the Super Bowl.
So I tell you, man, you couldn't blame the coach. Did you see that on Facebook with Coach K on it? Say it wasn't me.
Well, I will tell
They're
you.
in the Super. They're in the big game.
I will tell you, there are some Texans also that went with the former coach to Denver, and I'm excited for them. And Mr. Owens, the wide receiver.
Owen Daniels, tight end.
The tight end.
That's
he
right.
did a great job. I think he caught 2 touchdown passes.
You sure
if
did.
I'm not mistaken.
You sure did.
Yeah, so
Did a
good
fantastic
things
job
for the coach, and congratulations.
I mean, you know, it's great. It's great to see a Manning have such a good game too. You know, I think.
I agree.
You know, it's a possibility he's going to go out just the way Elway went. Hopefully he wins this game. He can ride off into the sunset.
And to all the naysayers that didn't believe in Mr. Cam, I tell you what, he has proved them wrong. He only lost 1 game this season, did a great job. Now, I don't know any other quarterback that runs like he does in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I tell you. And he's so great with the kids. He takes a play out of the Texans, out of JJ's playbook. And, you know, every time he makes a touchdown, he gives the kid.
That's right, he does.
Runs in the stands, gives the ball to the kid.
And by the way, he gets fined every time he does that, but he doesn't care.
Oh, yeah.
He's making mega bucks. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Houston Rockets. Now, they are doing semi-okay. They win a couple games, they lose a couple games, but they have a new player. The old Josh Smith is back.
Man, I tell you, that's good.
I'm looking forward to some wins there.
He might be the puzzle they've been missing.
So let's change gears. Politics now. Now, as you all know, we have a presidential race coming up. The Iowa caucus is going to be this week coming up. So we are the 1st of February. So I tell you what.
When's the 1st?
That's a game changer.
The 1st
is it a Monday?
Sunday, or is that Saturday?
I believe it's a Monday.
No, it's Monday. You're right. It's Monday.
So
is that right, Jackie?
We are going to see which way the pendulum goes. Is it going to be Trump? Is it going to be Cruz? Is it going to be Rubio? Who is it going to be on the Republican side? And then, of course, the Democratic side as well. So it'll be very interesting, because whatever happens in Iowa could determine the fate of some of those presidential candidates. Now, if they do really, really bad, then I would suggest some of those candidates go ahead and stay home. No sense in spending all your money on something that's not going to work. So what's your prediction? Who's going to win in Iowa? They say Trump is going to win.
I think it's going to be Trump.
You think so?
I think it's going to be Trump, but I think that the person who's going to give a surprise showing is Rubio. Yeah. I think Rubio is going to be my dark horse. He's going to come into strong second. He might even bump Cruz out of the way.
Well, I'd be interested to see how Senator Rubio does from Florida. It'll be good to see him up there.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about local races. We have a congressional heated race right now in the Latino community. Yeah. As you know, Congressman Gene Green is going to be running against Adrian Garcia, among others. Now, Adrian had a press conference today talking about what Gene Green has not done for the community. So it's going to be interesting. The race is going to be a lot closer than people predict. So we'll find out in March what's going to happen with that race.
You know what, Ben? You're always right when you come down to these things and your analysis of them. And you're saying it's going to be a lot closer than people think. And I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right on target.
Congressman Gene Green has been in office for 22 years. Wow. That's a long time.
And Gene Green has done a lot of good for the Latino community.
No question about it. But I think it's time for retirement.
I think so, too.
He served in the Senate for many, many years, and now Congress. So
Senate.
He has 2 pensions. Yeah. He doesn't have to worry about money anymore. He's doing well. So let's get to some local issues now. As you know, Metro is doing some great things. And we have the president and CEO. I call him Chief Lambert. Chief actually is the former police chief at Metro, but now he's the CEO. Thank you for joining us.
Well, Ben and Javier, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
And by the way, this is the first time we do this setup here.
Yeah,
so he's our guinea pig.
Well, But I think it's also going to be great that the Houston Texans will be in the Super Bowl we host in Houston in 2017. So that's even good.
And you know what?
From your mouth to God's ear.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I know you
That
get free
would be
tickets,
great.
right?
That would be great.
I'm going to be hitting you up.
The first hometown Super Bowl.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be
outstanding.
fantastic.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm going to be hitting up for some free tickets there because I know he's going to get front row seats.
Probably not going to happen, but
He'll give
a
you
nice thought.
He'll give you a nice train ride
There you
to
go.
the game.
Good
There you
train
go.
ride. Excellent train ride.
So let's see how this wide angle lens works on all three of us. So this is the first time that we try it. We'll have our producer put all three of us, and we're skinny. All three of us are real skinny, so it shouldn't be a problem, right?
Yeah,
producer?
I tell you, yeah.
No. So
They say the camera puts on 100 pounds.
is that what
That's
it
what
is?
it is, 100 pounds. Really, I'm very thin.
He's actually only 150 pounds.
I like that explanation. I'll go with that too.
All right, Chief. So tell us what's going on at Metro.
Well, I'll go back to May of 2015. We opened 2 additional rail lines, as you know. We opened the East End line out in Harrisburg. We opened the Southeast line from downtown to the University of Houston and Palm Center. So we've seen a lot of real momentum about getting rail service. We went from 7.5 miles of rail to almost 23 miles of rail. And then in August of 2015, about 3 months later, we redid the entire bus network. And that's a bus network that if you really go back 30 years, you hadn't seen any improvements to the service. So we basically took about 2 years, and the board said if you had a clean sheet of paper, and I want to give the board of directors full credit for this. They basically said, ridership is down, we're not getting people where they need to go. The bus system will always be the backbone of what we do and how we move people in this region. So how do we do a better job of really getting people to a high frequency, high quality bus service to get them where they need to go? So they said take a clean sheet of paper, but they said be very involved with the community. So there were many, many community meetings. We had a 125 member stakeholder group that really said, here's what the new bus network ought to look like. We went out to the community many times to get their feedback, and then we rolled it out in August. We've seen ridership, boardings grow since we've done that. We think we really don't get a full assessment until September 2016, because September 2015 will really be the first month of the new bus network. But everything we're seeing is more people are using the service, more people are using it to get to jobs and getting to education, to visit families, to go to church. So we think a bus network that's got 22 high-frequency bus routes is going to be a good travel choice for people in the region. What we just did on Sunday is we made improvements to that network. So earlier bus routes where people needed to get earlier trips to get to work or later trips to get home. We saw overcrowding on some of the bus routes, which is a good thing for transit. But now we're adding more service, whether it's an articulated 65-foot bus where a 40-foot bus used to be. So we're very pleased with what's going on. We've had a couple of good days thus far with the new enhancements to the network. We think as we continue to move forward, we'll continue to have a very high-quality product for people to use in this community.
Well, you know, I tell you, Chief, it's great to see the responsiveness that Metro has had in taking, you know, what the ridership has had to say, and you guys have really put it into play.
Well, as we said, you know, the rider spoke and the bus operator spoke, and I want to give them credit as well. And then Metro, from the board level all the way down to the staff, has listened. So the changes we've made, the enhancements we've made, has come from that feedback. So we're very appreciative of our riders letting us know how we can do things better. And I'll just tell you, from the board level, their commitment is that we're going to be responsive, and that's what this agency is all about.
You know, I did my homework, Chief. I rode the bus today.
Good.
I rode the bus. I was a chaperone for my son's field trip. He's at Reagan High School, and the biology class was going, you know, you're talking about 150 kids probably went over to the Museum of Natural Science. And I was skeptical because the teacher told me it was easier to take the Metro bus than to wait for a school bus. It was easier, cheaper, and faster. And you know, those three words kind of sometimes don't go together. But I was very, very surprised. It was faster. They didn't have to wait for the bus, you know, for the routes to get through at HISD. We just walked down the bus stop. and basically took these 150 kids and every 7-8 minutes a bus came by and picked up about 50 of them, and we all got there about the same time, just worked it all into the
Well,
schedule.
I'd like to cut this out of this live interview to make that a commercial, but I'm glad to hear what you said.
Yeah.
And what we've tried to do, and again, I want to give full credit to the board and the staff, and everybody, every elected official in this region has worked with us. When we were rolling this network out, we asked them to help us put information out to the public, and they've done that. But we've done a couple of things to try to make it better. Next bus texting. That same bus stop where you board, you now can go to what's called a short code with the ID number of that stop, and it'll tell you what time that next bus is going to come through.
You know, the kids were doing that.
It's great.
That was fantastic. They were doing that and doing that short texting thing, and they were telling, oh, yeah, Dixon will be here in 4 minutes.
So that's great.
You know,
and then the next thing the board has done, because again, their focus has been, let's get more riders on the system. And so they basically took the transfer, it used to be, you could transfer every time you bought a ticket for 3 hours in the same direction you went. But the board said, no, open it up any direction. So we just rolled that on Sunday. So we think people can use that transfer opportunity to go any direction. It's almost now like a 3-hour pass. Right. So you can use the system to go where you need to go. So we think that's going to be very good for us as well.
Do you have any numbers as far as ridership, like on the metro and bus?
Well, you get the rail line today, I'll just use the Main Street line. You're carrying about 65,000 boardings a day on the Main Street line. The initial red line that goes out to North Line Transit Center now. You're seeing a continuing growth on ridership on the east end and southeast. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. We can get that to you. But we carry about 270,000 bus boardings a day.
Wow. That's
Can you imagine how many cars would be on the road if people did not?
That's a big number. Now, I will tell you, the last time I got on the rail was to an event at Reliant. So I jumped on at the medical center, because I work at the medical center. And I jumped on and went to the Reliant, and it was a piece of cake. Didn't have any issues. It wasn't crowded. Just walk on the rail, and I was there in 10 minutes.
That's great. We want to continue to get more and more people to do that. And what we've done with the new bus network, we now fed the rail line with bus routes. Gives you more carrying capacity, more opportunity to get people where they need to go in a much more efficient way. So,
do you think we can get a rail from Talento Bilingüe to Houston, which is where he works, to here, because he's always late?
I think we'll do everything we can to help you work that through for you.
Build me a rail line there, Chief.
If I can get him a rail line, I think we'll be all right. Have your assistants work on that.
We'll work on that immediately.
Now, let's talk a little bit about some of these initiatives. As you all know, there was a rail issue in the East End, and I don't know if it's been resolved or not. Maybe you can explain a little further. But right off of Harrisburg and right at the railroad track, the rail either goes over or goes under. Are you familiar with this?
I'm very familiar with that. Yes, sir.
What's the latest on that?
The latest on it is there originally was a plan to try to do an underpass where we could go under the Union Pacific Railroad tracks there. The unfortunate reality, the board tried very hard to do that, but then we really started doing environmental testing. We found a lot of environmental conditions that were not conducive to do it. So there was a decision, again, working with the community over many meetings to decide that we then go over. We've clearly been too involved on Harrisburg. We need to get the project done, and we need to get out of the community's way. The board did approve a business assistance fund to assist those businesses along the Harrisburg corridor. They're continuing to do that while we're building it. We're under construction with the overpass. We expect the at-grade roadway to be ready by the end of May of this year, and then very shortly, probably July, to get the traffic going over the bridge. So when the bridge is completed,
that's July of this year?
July of this year.
Man, that's moving.
Well, we're moving as fast as we can, but again, the community has been very patient with us. We've been out here a long time. The board is very committed to get this bridge built and then get out of the community's way so they can return back to growing businesses and opportunities for people really to travel by automobile, by bus, by rail to the East End. So we think it'll be a good project when we're through, and we're trying our best to get it accelerated and get it done.
Now, Chief, I know, a lot of people fought tooth and nail to keep that bridge, the overhead bridge, from going up. What else? I know Metro is helping the businesses, but what exactly they're doing to help those businesses out there?
Well, a couple of things. One, we've actually had some events where we've highlighted and done radio promotes, and we've done marketing materials for each of the businesses that they individually identify that would be assistance to them. So we went about a 2-week period in December really to encourage the community to come shop at those businesses. We did a job fair also in that area. Metro has positions open. We want people to come work for us. So we did a job fair. You'll see us continue to do more things like that as we're working to get the bridge built. But the real focus is continuing the Business Assistance Fund that the board actually is going to talk more at the board meeting on Wednesday about this week, and then getting the bridge built, and then ultimately getting rail running all the way out to Magnolia Transit Center. So we think when we're through, it will be a great addition for mobility choices in this part of our city, and we're looking forward to get it done as quick as we possibly can.
So how realistic is the rail going to make it to Hobby Airport?
I think the board is committed. Back in 2003, the community voted for rail to Hobby Airport. They also voted for rail going to Intercontinental Bush Airport, connecting the west side of Houston with the lines we built. I think the board's still committed to do that. We've got to find funding to do that, and that's always something that we're going to have to look to do. And it's bringing everybody together in the community to work together to look at where we get transit as another mobility option for people in the region. So commitment to do it, but we've got to get funding to do it, and we'll probably have to do more borrowing to do that down the road.
What would a project like that ballpark cost?
Well, I'll give you an example. It's about 140 miles, $140 million a mile to build rail. So if you take it about 3 miles out to Hobby, somewhere around the $300, $400 million. If you go to Bush Intercontinental, a lot further out, but you're looking at about $140 million a mile.
Write them a check, Ben. Go ahead.
Write them a check. Well, I tell you what, there's a lot that goes on in building a rail. Not to mention the design and construction, but there's community input and so forth. It's a long process. So where we are today and where we were 10 years ago is a big difference, though. Mm-hmm. You know, it takes time, though. And I'm very happy to see rail come to Houston the way it has. And I can't wait until we go to Hobby and to Intercontinental, because I'll tell you what, the drive to Intercontinental from downtown to get there on time and so forth, parking and all that good stuff, it takes a good hour from downtown, because you got to find a parking spot. And then you got to take the bus to the Intercontinental, whether it be A, B, or C terminal.
Yeah.
And so it takes a while. A little Hobby is a little easier to do that, but I would love to see the rail. And not only rail interlocal here, but now we're talking rail from here to Dallas and here to Austin and here to San Antonio. I mean, that's coming down the pike. And I don't know how much you guys will be involved, because that's probably a different entity.
Well, it's a different entity, but we are talking to Texas Central Railway about the high-speed rail from Houston to Dallas. When they get here, we have to get a system to distribute their passengers. So we're working very closely with them, as well as the Gulf Coast Rail District, Houston-Galveston Area Council, the City of Houston, Harris County, Texas Department of Transportation, because it really takes everybody working together of how we're going to do what I guess we like to call the first mile, the last mile of a trip. And so that's something we're working very closely on. But high-speed rail, I think, is coming to the state. Very good thing to happen.
That should be interesting.
Yeah,
considering that it'll only take a couple hours to get there.
About 90 minutes from what I'm hearing.
That's great.
Yep.
Wow.
Why can't your metro rails go that fast?
There's something about living in an urban and trying to operate in a different kind of operating environment, I must say.
Well, I know that there's been a few accidents. Now, has there been a drastic decrease in accidents?
I think if you look from the time we started the rail line, and again, it was bringing, we have the largest at-street operating light rail system in the country. So it's bringing a different operating environment. As we've seen in the region, we've seen accidents go up. No excuse, that's just part of the operating environment. But as we've continued to see operations, as we've continued to see the system grow, we did a lot to work on education about safety, whether it's in the schools or working with neighborhood organizations or super neighborhood councils and working again with elected officials. We've really focused on trying to make sure we do everything from an engineering standpoint, from an education standpoint, and from an enforcement standpoint to mitigate accidents. And so we're kind of pleased that it continues to come down, but that's something we will always continue to focus on.
You know, Chief, this is really becoming and maybe it's there already, but I'll let you tell me that. Is this a world-class system that we have here?
I think what we're looking, and a couple of things. One, I think if you look at rail, we've done this very quickly. And again, I want to compliment the board. It came in under budget. And so we're very pleased with that. The opportunity now is where do we go to expand it, as you all asked. But I also want to say the bus system. It's a remake that I will tell you everybody across the country is looking at what we did with the new bus network. Systems don't do that. And so the ultimate compliment goes back to the board because they were willing to take on a public policy issue. That's not an easy thing to do. And they gave the staff and the consultants that work with us and working with the community opportunity to try to do things better. And I would just tell you a lot of folks are looking at that. And then lastly, it's really not transit in competition with other mobility choices. It's transit working in partnership with building roads and toll roads and tying signalization systems together, because we're blessed still with a very strong economy and still with a desire for people to come join our community. So we have to do everything we can in tandem to help move people in this region safely and efficiently. Transit plays a very important part of that.
Let me shift gears for you.
Okay.
I'm the former chairman of the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And so one of the things that we always encourage is diversity and suppliers, vendors, contractors, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I haven't looked at your numbers, so I have no idea what they are, but is there any increase in those numbers?
Well, the board has we are, because of some previous litigation, we have a small business program. We're not able to do a DBE program unless it's federal funds. We have a small business program that encourages small business to participate. We have a 35% small business goal that the board established. We are exceeding that goal. We also take this very seriously, and the board said every contract where there's an opportunity to give a small business partner an opportunity to compete, we want to look at that. So we've done a lot through our small business program to work with the business community to get more opportunities for small business to work with us. We have a small business academy to get people educated how to work with us. We're actually going to do an open house on February the 10th to encourage more small businesses to work with us. So I think that's something that the board's very committed to do. That's something you have to constantly stay on. And we need to represent that we are a part of this community and we want everybody to do work with us, and that's what we're trying to do.
That goes back to the, I would say, the hiring of the upper management as well. So are you steadily increasing those numbers at the highest levels? Because in the past, I know the numbers were not there. So are we seeing more and more Latinos and African Americans at upper management positions?
I think you're seeing a very good, diverse senior leadership team at Metro. But I would sit here and say, and I will tell you, we got initiatives now to try to broaden the diversity of people coming to the organization. So I don't think you ever say that you have arrived. I think you've got to continuously. Metro should mirror the community as best we can mirror. When I was a police chief, we tried to do that, and I think was very successful. We've got 3,900 employees at Metro, where you have the opportunity to broaden the diversity of us mirroring how the community looks. We need to do that. Are we where we need to be? No, we're not. Is it something we're going to continue to work on? Yes, it is.
Now, you would not be the CEO if you didn't have the support of a diverse community. So I applaud you for being the chief, first of all, and then being the CEO. Now, what a difference. I mean, talk about changing careers. You're a police officer one day, and the next day you're CEO of a major, major organization like Metro.
You know what, Chief? And you have a long history with Metro.
I'm blessed, and I'm in my 37th year at Metro.
Wow.
I just started back
That
in
doesn't
October.
happen anymore.
Well, Metro is a very dynamic organization. Now I'm going to say how I've learned to do this. If you invest in good people and you give good people clear direction of where they need to go, and you give them the opportunity to engage and you empower them to be a part of making decisions going forward, and they know that you care about them and you support them and set parameters that even if they take a risk, they can be successful. Because what you want people to do is be willing to take a risk, trying to make things better tomorrow than what it is today. If you do that, and you get people to understand that it's a shared process, that it's about a very simple value system, integrity first and foremost, respecting people in all things we do, and that we care about others before we do personal agendas. If you do all those things and you get people working in the same direction and you empower them, and you support it, you tend to be successful. That's something we try to do.
That's great.
I tell you.
Well, I see you brought one person with you, Ms. Jackie Gill. Ms. Jackie Gill has a good history with us. We really like working with her, and we look forward for her to moving up the ladder. I don't know what her next step is, and she's in the audience today with our chief here. But kudos to her, and kudos for you to bring her, because I think that's a great partnership there.
Well, Jackie's done a tremendous job, and she'll have the opportunity to move up in the organization.
Did she tell you that we taught her everything she knows?
That's right.
She will probably be telling me that after this interview tonight.
That's good. That's good. So we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to dig more into Metro, what's happening in the future. So join us in 2 minutes. So what I want to do... Welcome back to Latino Talk TV. I'm your host, Ben Mendez, joined by my co-host, Mr. Javier Perez. We're here talking to Chief Lambert, the CEO of Metro, and we're going to get into some future projects for Metro. But first, I did want to mention that we have some great people that are supporting us in the back. Our producer, Enrique Arana, and Pat Perez are back there. Thank y'all for all that you do. And of course, we have a guest here, Ms. Jackie Gill from Metro. Thank you, Jackie, for joining us. Now, during the break, I was given this cue card, and I was told that if you take 50 trips on Metro, then you get 5 free trips for free. Doesn't matter where they go.
Doesn't matter where they go. The opportunity is it's a smart card where you can put value on the card. So every bus has reloaders in the back of the bus. You can put volumes of $1 at a time, or you can go to a rail platform and reload it. Or there are 290 retail outlets in the metro service area where you can add value to the card, or you can go to 2 ride stores for Metro downtown. So it's a very easy way for people to add value to the card. If they register it and they lose it, we'll give them money back on a new card. So it's really an advantage. But the most important thing is the more you ride, the free rides you get. So 50 rides, you give you 5 free rides.
I don't know about you, but
people to do that.
I got a card. They didn't give you one?
No, I'm gonna have to get mine.
So I'd appreciate you putting that information out. And again, 713-635-4000. That's Metro's general number. You call that number and we'll get people where they need to go and answer questions.
What's that number one more time?
713-635-4000. So anything or any questions about Metro, we'll make sure we get the right people to give you answers.
Can we put that number on the bottom of the screen for our viewers?
There we go.
Oh man, they're on top
Quick,
of it.
Pat.
I'll
Very
tell
good.
you what. That's good. So how much does an average route cost?
The local route is $1.25 to ride a local bus route.
So
The
like
rail
from
is $1.25.
north side to south side, I can go.
$1.25.
Is that right? I'll be darned. Is that what you paid today?
$1.25 each way.
$1.25.
And
Sure did.
students get a 50% discount.
How about senior citizens?
Senior citizens above 70 can ride for
AARP card.
free.
That's right, I'm AARP. That's
Bring
right.
out your AARP card. There you go. I'll tell you what, that's good because I didn't know that. Now, I'm not familiar with these at all. So I see these little things that are there wherever the bus stops are, and you stick this in and you put in $5 to increase the value of this. Is that how it works? Or
It does work that way, but on the bus, you actually can get on the bus, and in the back of the bus, you can put $1 in at a time.
You know, I saw that.
That's
I was
it's called
sitting, there was a
bus
seat
reloader.
right next to
That's correct.
right next to it, and there were people coming up and they stick their card in. I said,
Put
"What
the
the
card
heck are
in, they
doing?"
put a $1 bill in, and it
Yeah.
adds $1 value. Each
Yeah.
dollar you put into it. Very easy. About 76% of our customers use this card today.
Okay.
So we're really trying to push to get more people to use it because it's a benefit to our riders. And we've actually got street teams, people out riding buses, letting our customers know about this card. And again, we want to try to get it in everybody's hands because it makes it easier for them to use the service, and they get the benefit of free rides.
I tell you, Ben,
$1.25.
I was so surprised. I was pleasantly
I'm
surprised.
surprised they let you on the bus. So let's talk about
They just run right past me, huh?
let's talk about your Metro Police. I've had this question, and I want to hear it from the chief. Now, can Metro police officers give you a ticket for speeding?
Yes, they can.
So they can get on 59 and 45 and have a little speed trap for you?
Well, from the legal standpoint, they have full police authority of any police officer in the state.
Okay.
However, our focus is on the transit system. Can they do it? Yes, they can. Our focus is on the system, though.
Okay.
We don't need to be involved in general policing. Now, if there's an emergency, we expect them to respond, deal with it, and it may turn it over to another agency. So where assistance in emergency, we expect them to do that. But their real focus is a transit system today that's got 23 miles of rail, a service area that's 1,303 square miles, 10,000 bus stops, 1,250 buses, 101 miles of HOV lanes. That's where they need to be focused, and that's what we do. Now, they work very closely with all the regional law enforcement agencies because it really takes a partnership from everybody, whether it's Precinct 6, Precinct 7, 8, HPD, the Sheriff's Department. It's really everybody working together. But I do want to, I'm glad you mentioned that because one of the things that the board just approved is a code of conduct. And the unfortunate reality, there have been people on the system that have not behaved well. 99% of our customers want to get to work, they want to get to school, they want to get to church, they want to see family, and they just want the comfort of the ride. Unfortunately, some cause things that are counter to that. So the board passed a code of conduct where Metro police officers can now suspend people from riding the service based upon the type of violation they may be involved in. So that's another effort to make the riding experience better for people that are transit dependent or those that choose to use transit. And so I want to really compliment the board for that.
But
as
how
well.
do you determine which ones those are? Because they can get on a different bus that the bus driver is not familiar with that person.
Well, it's how you communicate with the operators, and the officers have a database. You communicate with the it's an involved process where everybody knows, but there's a database that clearly establishes who the person is, how long they've been suspended. Now, the person has a right to appeal that, but if they go through the process or if they don't appeal it, there's a database in place to really manage who's involved in that.
So that means you can't get on the bus.
No
Sorry.
one that looked at me kind of cross-eyed when I was getting off.
Can't get on the bus.
You
So
know what?
But I
Also,
wanna go-
Chief, and let me say that your drivers were very courteous today. I got to tell you that they were very courteous. They thanked our kids for being courteous on the bus.
you
know.
need to make a commercial with
I'm telling you, everything we're doing live now will be in a commercial by the time Jackie's through tonight.
we need a commercial with Javier Perez in front and center for Metro.
There we go.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to talk about is we also wanted to make sure if people saw something out of place that wasn't right on the system, if you see something, say something. We want our customers to communicate with the police. So we just also launched what we're calling MPD Connect. And it's basically a web-based system that you can actually chat live with a police representative. If you're on a bus and you don't feel that it's comfortable to talk, and it's not a 911 emergency. If it's a 911 emergency, go to 911. But if something you can communicate, you can actually do that without anybody know you're talking to the MPD representative. Or you can send a report and they'll document the report and follow up on it. Or if you just want to make contact, you can make contact with them through that application as well. So we're trying to do everything we can to make it safer, cleaner, more comfortable, more secure for people to choose transit in this region, and the police play a very important part of that.
So Chief, you're saying that if a person gets on a Metro bus and feels uncomfortable, something about to happen, whatever, he can report it right then and there on his phone?
Report on that app. I want to emphasize, if it's viewed as an emergency, go to 911.
Okay.
But if it's not, you can do that straight from that app. And it's a great feature. We just rolled that out. We think it's going to be a very effective tool to get feedback from our customers.
I want your honest
Amazing.
opinion on this, because I've debated many folks on this one issue. How many police forces do we have in Harris County?
Oh, there's a bunch.
How many do you think we have?
Last count, I think, was probably, if you look at everything, over 70 that I can think of.
Now, can you imagine, we have all these police forces. We have City of Houston, obviously HPD, got Harris County, we got all the constables, not to mention the universities, HISD, Metro. Why is it that we can't combine our police force?
I think you have to look at it, and I always go, but this question is always raised about transit, and having been the police chief for a few years. In a transit environment, you have a bus that will start in one jurisdiction, it will go then to another. Let's take Bel Air Boulevard, just to use something. From the city of Houston, it goes into Southside Place, goes into Bel Air, comes back in the city, goes back in the county, so it's multi-jurisdictional where it's operating. You also basically have a situation where you've got if you will, a crime scene that's moving, if you look at that standpoint. So you have to really understand the operation, the focus of what you're trying to accomplish, how you're communicating the system, and so it's a multi-jurisdictional environment you're trying to work in, but it's also a specialized environment. You want to make sure that you focus on those things that are order maintenance, where you have people it's clean, it's safe. You're dealing with mainly minor things that happen on the system, not many major things that happen on the system. So it's being focused on that. But irrespective of what the model is, it's how you're making sure you're taking care of that environment that you're trying to get people to choose to use a system. And I will tell you, if people don't perceive the system to be safe, they won't choose to use it. Right. So you have to focus on it from that standpoint. But there are many models across the country. Some will tell you there's probably not a right or wrong answer. It's what's the right answer at the time and where you're trying to go. And I know there's been a lot of studies and a lot of discussions, and you basically just to boil down what do you think is right at the time, and you go from there. Our board has looked at this, and that's where you think it's the right way to go, and that's where we're going to continue to focus.
You know, Chief, let me just real quick, what are the security, I guess the security policies you have on buses, and what options does the driver have if he sees something going on?
Well, all of our buses are radio equipped, so if they have an issue, they can communicate from there. All of our equipment have emergency alarms, and we're very upfront about that. So if an operator has a capability where they're having something take place that they can't communicate, they can communicate back to our dispatch center in an emergency. There are steps we take with that. We have cameras on a very significant part of our fleet right now. Ultimately, all of our buses will have cameras on all the buses as we continue to replace buses in future years. The rail system, all the rail vehicles have camera capability, not only on the vehicles but on the platform. We have public address system capability on rail. We can communicate back to all our buses from a dispatch center. But I will tell you, even with all the technology, I go back to what you just said, the quality of the operator. The operator gets a lot of training on how to de-escalate conflict. We're constantly working on how we improve communication. The reliability of the service, the cleanliness of the buses that we put on the street, the cleanliness of the rail vehicles. That says a lot about the pride we take in the product. And if you look at transit like a neighborhood that tends to have less problems is one that's very well organized, people care about it, it's very well maintained, and people are committed to continue along that process, and that's what we try to do on the system.
That's true.
I tell you, that's a great way to put it.
So getting back to police, in 2015, do you recall how many of the bus drivers were actually assaulted?
There were 73 bus operators that were assaulted, I think, in 2015.
And the worst one was it a shooting? I recall a shooting of some sort.
I don't think that we've had an operator.
Or maybe it was a passenger that there was.
It was probably a passenger, but we've had 73 operators assaulted in 2015, which is the highest we've had in many years. And that's why we've worked on the code of conduct. That's why we've worked at different deployment schemes from the police. And I also want to say this has been in great partnership with Transport Workers Union Local 260, which is the union representing the operators and the mechanics. This has been a partnership with them as well because it takes everybody working together.
Chief, do y'all have any idea of what in case something happens, what the response time is on a bus?
It depends. It depends on where the bus is located. If it's downtown, it's going to be very quick.
Yeah.
If it's in the again, we have a 1,303 square mile service area. So if it's out further out, it may be longer. However, it may not be that we will respond. We may call the sheriff's department to respond, or we may call the constable to respond. They may be closer than we're going to be. So it's not where you're just going to rely on, because we have limited resources as well. So it's how do you work with all the agencies to respond, and they have been very good at working with us in doing so, and we'll continue to build upon that.
Chief, and how safe is our system when you compare it? Yeah, compared to other cities.
If you look at just the Part 1 crimes, and I would say our reports are out to the board every month. You can go online at Metro and ridemetro.org, and you can see every monthly report we give to the board, whether it's accident statistics, police report statistics, on-time performance. We put everything to the board. Our job is to make sure the board knows everything, and as we like to say, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I tell you, Chief,
I really us better in how we respond to things.
I really commend your transparency. It seems that you guys are really. I mean, if there's, you know, they're not afraid to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then how they're going to make it better. So, and I think that's you know, I think that's
a beautiful thing.
I mean, other governmental agencies need to take your lead. You know, because you guys do a fantastic job.
So let's talk about capital improvements. Now, I know that you guys don't have any funding right now for new projects for rail, but is there anything for the infrastructure coming up? Because you know better than I do, there's some roads that are pretty bad, and I don't know how you guys play a part in that with the City of Houston or any other entity. But is there any future projects for infrastructure?
Well, I'll do a couple things on that. Metro, as you know, 25% of our sales tax, Metro gets a 1 cent sales tax from the region. 25% of that sales tax goes to the City of Houston, Harris County, and the 14 multi-cities that reside in the Metro region. In a referendum that was approved back in November 2012, that continues through 2025. It also looked at where there was incremental growth in the sales tax. Metro would get additional money back for buses and reducing our debt, and the other partner entities could use it for anything Metro can use it for. So that money goes to the city, the county, and other jurisdictions where they can do roads and they can do infrastructure improvement. And we work very close with them to see where there's an opportunity where they're going to build a road that benefits transit. That's a good thing as well. But the one thing we heard very loud and clear when we were meeting with the community about the new bus network, and again, that was over about a 2-year period, what the community said is, you know, if you made it easier to access transit, whether it's better wheelchair ramps, better sidewalks, you had better bus shelters where you're out of the weather, you had good street lighting or lighting so you weren't concerned about your safety, and you had amenities, maybe more people would ride transit. So the board has approved in this year's capital budget to begin to look at infrastructure improvements to make it easier for people to get to transit stops and make it easier for people that are disabled that want to ride the fixed route bus service, makes it easier for them to get to the stop. And the board took another step. On the MetroLift, if you're MetroLift certified and you can ride the fixed route bus service, you can ride it for free. So we're going to work very hard working with the city.
I have no idea what a fixed
Bus.
I don't, just
Bus. It's a regular bus.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you can ride the regular buses,
Okay.
and you choose to do that and you're MetroLift certified, you can ride that bus for free.
So if I am wheelchair bound, I can call Metro at any time and get somebody to come out in a van as well?
Well, the MetroLift program, if you're wheelchair, you can call the day before, or you can subscribe the service if you use it all that. And we can come back, and I'd like to come back and talk about a lot of things we've done on MetroLift, because the last couple of years we've kind of worked through how we can continue to improve that. But the one thing we think we can do in working with the city and the county and the multi-cities and management districts, the more we connect sidewalks, the more we connect access ramps, you're really giving people more opportunities of how they're traveling. So we're going to work very hard of doing that. But everything Metro does is going to be in partnership with all the other agencies that we all have to work together with.
So let me make sure I understood what you said here. So if I am wheelchair bound and I have to call one day ahead of time.
But what he's talking about, Ben, is that if he can access a regular bus,
Yeah.
if he can, like, if he's in a power chair, he can go to a regular bus, so he can ride it for free
No.
instead of having to wait for the MetroLift.
No, but he mentioned that if I call one day prior, I can schedule it.
That's correct.
That's correct.
That's for the MetroLift.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say it's 10 hours before. Can I still schedule it?
Not on the same day.
Okay.
You have to do it 24 hours
Okay.
in advance.
It has to be the
Now,
day
you
before.
can also do it, you may ride the same time all the time. You can pre-subscribe all of that.
Okay.
So you have customers that have ridden us for years. They know on the same day of the week they're going to go at the same time. You can pre-schedule all of that.
Okay.
But if you haven't done that, it's within 24 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's a lot easier than a taxi
Oh, yeah.
because they come ready for your wheelchair. That's good. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's great that they have that option of just going to a bus stop and getting it on.
Yeah.
Just jumping on.
Because I see a lot of folks going to medical center that are wheelchair bound, and I see that a lot of them actually bring taxis and they drop them off right in front. And I don't know how much those taxis cost, but I'm sure they're not
They
cheap.
may be contracted through Metro because we
Okay.
operate a private operator that runs vans.
Okay.
It's contracted with Metro. But we also have a contract with the taxi cab companies to support that service.
Oh, okay.
So we're
it
trying to
might-
look at every way we can to get the best service out there. And the taxi cabs have been great partners with us in running that program as well.
Cool.
They do a fantastic job, man.
So let's talk about the rodeo.
Okay?
Now, I know you guys play a big part in transportation of the rodeo.
Right.
Okay. Now, how does that work? Do those bus drivers work because they have to do their regular shifts, right, during the day, and then at night? I mean, are those like overtime employees, or how does that
He's
work?
looking for a part-time job there.
How does
The
that
answer
work?
is yeah, it's overtime employees, yes.
Okay.
Because we have a very large transit system we run during the day.
Okay.
But we have an extremely large transit system we run for the rodeo, which
Okay.
is a great benefit for this region.
He wants to be a
this
greeter
community.
at the rodeo.
Wanna be a greeter
I
at
would tell you,
Walmart.
the rodeo has great, about 15,000 volunteers that help with transportation, so
Okay.
they do a great job out there as well. So we're continuing to work with the rodeo to get more and more people using transit to get to the rodeo, whether it's rail that serves the corridor or from the outlying park and rides. And it's been a great partnership with them. And we'll continue to build upon that. Last year, I think about 1.2 persons rode transit to get to the rodeo.
Well, I took the rail. I know that for sure, because I didn't want to deal with that mess over there. There's a lot of people, NRG.
Well, and now with the expanded rail lines, the rodeo, I know, is looking at identifying parking areas along each of the Harrisburg line and the Southeast line where people can park and then take the train, then connect to the Main Street line.
Good luck finding one in the East End.
We're going to work hard on that.
I think every spot in the East End is taken right now, unless you plan to park over there in Brady's Landing.
But we're very close in working with the rodeo. We're continuing to build upon that partnership, and you'll see more and more opportunities to move people going to the rodeo. We also think it's a great opportunity for folks to try transit the first time, and they may continue to stay with transit. A lot of folks use those park and ride services because that's really what they are. So, say that's a good way to travel.
So notice he took my topic and just, I was trying to get overtime money. I was trying to get a job over here driving a bus.
And as we continue to grow ridership, we'll need more drivers of those buses. So we're about focusing on how we get more people riding this service. And where you get an opportunity where people can experience it, and it's a good experience, then maybe they'll come back a second time, and maybe they'll come back a third time, and that's what we're really trying to do.
What are the qualifications necessary for a bus driver?
We have to meet all the Department of Transportation physical requirements as a physical requirement. You have to be able to get certified in a commercial driver's license, which we will train you to do that. You have to be 21 years of age to at least come in. Then we run people through a training program, and we're always looking for good people.
Javier's looking for a
Hey,
job.
I had a Class B CDL for many years.
And you get Javier to ride a bus.
I used to drive a bus when I was with Boys and Girls Clubs.
There you go.
So I had to drive our bus, so I had to get that CDL.
Because his wife is tired of supporting him. We need a job for Javi. I'm calling all of y'all to help us find a job for Javi. So let's talk about one other thing. Now, the bus stops, I know that I've noticed that they're very clean. I haven't noticed as much graffiti like I used to back in the day. Now, do you have a program that actually cleans the bus stops?
We have staff at Metro as well as contractors we hire to clean those stops. And so you'll see, as a matter of fact, we're taking 2 contracts to the board this coming Wednesday at the board meeting for small businesses that are actually getting those contracts to help us clean those stops. And so that's another initiative to encourage small businesses to grow, and you'll see that on Wednesday. But I also want to talk to the community. We've had an Adopt a Bus Shelter program for many years. That's where the community or neighborhood associations will adopt the stop. They'll make sure that it's kept clean. If they see something out of the place, they call us and report it. So it's a good partnership from that standpoint, and we're always looking to expand that. The bottom line is, the cleaner a stop is, the cleaner a bus is, the safer everybody sees it, and we're convinced that you'll get more people using the service. So we focus on that a lot.
So the graffiti that I mentioned earlier, now I'm assuming that you guys have a crew is it the same crew that does the cleaning that focuses on the graffiti?
Yeah, if they see graffiti, they're going to clean it immediately.
The same,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
So,
and as you know, the sooner you see it and the sooner you remove it, the less likely you're going to see it continue.
Right,
and that's what we try to do.
That's good.
You know, Chief Lambert, we lost our bus service. Well, there's major construction on the street that I live on. You know, they put in the sidewalks and went to the I guess to underground lines, water lines and all that, so there's no ditches anymore. So we lost our bus service for about 2 years. So they just opened the street up again Saturday. And I'm putting you on the spot. How long will it take for us to get a bus service back?
Well, what we'll do is about 3 times a year, we do service enhancements or service changes. We have our operators will sign up by garage and what routes they're going to serve and all that. So we just did one January the 24th. On Sunday we started one. You'll see the next one in June. Communicate to me on what route you're talking about. We'll make sure we look at that during the service change. The bus network, the new bus network, is also a 5-year plan. We're really in the first year of a 5-year plan. So how do we continue to make improvements? How do we continue to focus on connecting routes and improving that service? So send it to me. We'll make sure we take a
Well,
look at it.
I tell you, Chief Lambert, I've never appreciated that bus line. Because as a kid growing up, I hated riding the bus. I was riding from north side to north side to St. Thomas High School, and then University of St. Thomas sometimes when the car was down. I had to ride the bus, and I hated it with a passion because you had to go through downtown. It'd take you 2 hours to get home. But now my kids, I mean, they're going pretty quick. They go through North Line. They're at Reagan High School. They're at the HEC at North Line there, and they're getting around pretty
quickly. I probably should have
quickly.
said that when we first started. The new bus network doesn't force you to go downtown.
Exactly.
The old bus network forced you to go downtown.
Right.
The new one is really a grid system. So if you're on the southeast part and you want to go northeast, you don't have to come downtown, or southwest to north. You can go and connect and then get where you need to go. And so we've really focused a lot on that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't go downtown, and then so how do you figure out from southeast to north? How do you figure out where to take that bus?
Well, the other thing you can do, and I'm glad you asked, if you go to ridemetro.org, we have a trip planner, and you can go on the website and you say, I live here and I want to go here. It'll tell you how to plan that trip. It'll actually show you how to do that trip.
Yeah.
It's very easy to do. And we try to make it as easy as we could, because we did, before we launched the new bus network, we actually had a dual trip planner up. We had the old bus network and we had the new bus network we were going to. So you could see how you did the old trip and how you do the new trip. And so there's been a lot of things we've tried to do to put in our customers' hands to make it easier. So ridemetro.org, it'll pre-plan your trip for you, show you how to do it.
Great. Well, I appreciate your time. I know that you're a very busy person.
No, I'm not. Thank y'all for having me. This has been very enjoyable. And again, Houston, Texas, in the Super Bowl 51,
Free tickets.
February of 2017.
Chief Lambert, you're my new best friend.
Thank you.
My new best friend is right. So before we leave, I wanted to talk about some upcoming events. I know you just had an event at Talento Bilingüe de Houston.
Yes, sir.
The Cumbia Kings, right?
Well, they're called the In Vivo Kings now.
In Vivo Kings,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, which is a
How'd
lot
it
of the
go?
talent. It went very well. It was a very enjoyable, very good show.
Yeah.
Those boys put on, and I tell you, I want to thank the guys over. I believe they're ACS, but Anthony Corder, who owns that company. We have a new partnership with them at TBH. They came in and did I'm talking Vegas style lighting. They did a fantastic job out there, and we really want to thank Anthony Corder and his company for coming out and really showing us what we're capable of having at TBH. Fantastic show there over the weekend.
I'll tell you what, I went to the monster trucks on Saturday. I took my
gosh.
kids.
I remember doing that.
I can't hear it anymore. So loud. So I'm a big fan of Gravedigger now.
Oh yeah, been there, done that. Yeah, know what you're talking about, Ben.
So we'll be back next week. We're here every Monday night from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's live television, by the way, so you can join us every week. And so we'll see you next week. Bye.